So we're here to announce that thanks to the tireless efforts of the members of the Rochester Police Department and our partners in law enforcement that all responded last night to help us in our time of need and who continue to be in the city today and through the weekend assisting with the work that never stops, the work of protecting the community. But we're here to announce the arrest of Kelvin Vickers, age 21. He's charged with murder in the second degree, attempted murder in the second degree, assault in the second degree, and 2 counts of criminal possession of a weapon in the second degree relating to the cowardly ambush of officers Tony Mazurkiewicz and Sino Seng last night. Here with the particulars on the investigation is Captain Umbrino from the Major Crimes Unit.
Shortly after 9 p.m. last night, members of the Rochester Police Department's tactical unit were in the area of Bauman Street and Laser Street in an attempt to gain intelligence as part of an ongoing murder investigation. Officers Anthony Tony Mazurkiewicz, who we call Maz, and Officer Sino Seng were parked in an unmarked plainclothes vehicle on Bauman Street, just south of Laser Street. As part of the intelligence gathering, additional marked and unmarked tactical unit cars were also in the area. At approximately 9:15, a male approached the surveillance vehicle from behind. While cowardly secreting himself behind large shrubs, he fired approximately 17 rounds into the officer's vehicle from about 10 to 15 feet away. Officer Mazurkiewicz, while sitting in the driver's seat, was struck at least twice in the upper body. Officer Seng was struck once in the lower body. Despite having just been shot, Officer Seng was able to exit the vehicle and return fire at the suspect. The suspect was not shot. The suspect fled the area on foot. Support units immediately responded, and they rushed both officers to the hospital. Additionally, a 15-year-old female was inside her house nearby, and as she dove for cover after hearing the gunshots, she was grazed by one of 3 bullets that penetrated one of the walls of her house. In addition to rushing the injured officers to the hospital, police officers from every single local jurisdiction in the county converged on the scene and quickly established a perimeter. Officers searching inside of the perimeter observed signs of an entry at a vacant house. While checking the location, officers located the 21-year-old suspect, whose name I'm not going to say, hiding in a second-floor crawl space. He eventually complied with the officer's commands and was taken into custody without incident. A loaded 9mm handgun was covered in close proximity to him in the property. Preliminary testing at this time has indicated that this weapon used was the weapon that killed Maz, shot Officer Seng, and the 15-year-old girl. Since the shooting occurred, every single investigative unit in the Rochester Police Department, along with our local, state, and federal partners, worked to execute a total of 6 search warrants at various locations throughout the city. As a result of those search warrants, 9 firearms, including both handguns and assault-style rifles, were recovered, along with hundreds of rounds of ammunition and almost 100 pounds of marijuana. We'll provide additional details regarding those search warrants and the seizures and the arrests as the investigation allows. We're not going to jeopardize the investigation at this time, as it is still ongoing. As a result, a direct result of the incredible, remarkable, fearless work of the guys and gals that responded initially, the suspect was taken into custody within an hour, and the suspected murder weapon was recovered. The preceding follow-up investigation led to the charges the Chief mentioned before against the suspect. The suspect is from Massachusetts, the Boston area, and other than stating he has an extensive criminal background we're not prepared to comment on any more of that at this time.
Well, Rochester police officers are eligible to retire after 20 years of service. Tony Mazurkiewicz was 9 years past that, and he was still taking on risky assignments, putting his life on the line every day. 13 WAM's Doug Embledge spoke to one of the fallen officer's friends today, who says the man he called Maz was built to be a cop.
This morning when I found out he was basically taken from us, I couldn't sink any lower. I felt horrible.
Jose Vasquez, a retired trooper, met Tony Mazurkiewicz of the RPD 20 years ago.
He's just a wonderful, wonderful police officer. So you got to use police officers like that when you want things done, because he would get it done.
Their friendship was forged as they worked together on Operation Impact, which paired troopers and RPD officers to reduce violent crime.
He had the trust of the community, because Mass was the community. He did everything that he could for these people in the city of Rochester to live safely. I'm sure there are people in the community also that are feeling this pain. And for that reason, I explain why Tony was built for this job, because he was a good and outstanding cop.
Vasquez hopes his friend's death will somehow make a difference for a city that he describes as under siege. He believes there is common ground to be found, that most people have had more than enough of violent crime.
I wore my uniform very proudly. I served the people of the state very proudly. But my job was not to go out there and get shot. People that live in the city want to be able to go to the corner store and grab a loaf of bread or a milk, or sending your child to the store and not worrying that he's not coming back. Not because he's doing anything wrong, it's because he gets caught in a crossfire.
Tonight, the many friends of the man they called Maz are mourning the loss of a good husband, father, and public servant.
Knowing Anthony, he took that bullet, and he was probably worried about his partner, because that's the type of person he was.
Doug Embledge, 13 WAM News.
Vasquez has been retired for several years, but today says he is nagged by an irrational sense of regret that he was not there last night to help his friend.
A new shift of Rochester police officers is on duty tonight, facing what the police chief says is the fear of not going home. In the last 13 years, 7 officers have been wounded and 2 now killed in the line of duty. In 2009, a rookie officer, Anthony DePonzio, was shot in the head on Dayton Street. He survived a devastating injury and returned to the force. The very next night, 2 miles away, officers Luca Martini and Dan Brochu were shot answering a 911 call on Driving Park. Both survived. June of 2013, Sergeant Flamur Zanilovic was shot multiple times, pulling over a murder suspect. He managed to return fire and killed the suspect. Officer Zanilovic recovered. September 2014, Officer Daryl Pearson, a husband and father, was fatally shot on Hudson Avenue pursuing a suspect. North Street, 2017, Officer Jeremy Nash was shot in the face. The 11-year veteran of the force had a 3-week-old baby at home. He survived his injuries. 2019, Officer Denny Wright stabbed multiple times and blinded, answering a call for domestic violence. On Hague Street in December of 2020, Officer Brian Sheridan was shot in the neck responding to a home break-in. He survived. And now, July 2022, the second Rochester police officer to die in the line of duty in 8 years, Officer Anthony Mazurkiewicz. As the mayor said, we owe them all a debt of gratitude.